As he struggled along the trail, he fought hard to deal with the pain. The bleeding had stopped, for which he was grateful. However, the trail was brutal, and every rock, stump, and log threatened to send the pain shooting through his leg again. As he hobbled down the path, he berated himself for ever being so foolish as to attempt a shortcut on such a slippery trail. Thoughts of his family filled his mind, and the idea tortured him that he might never see them again, and that he would be just another Ephraim Cain, a soon-forgotten casualty on the frontier trail. He was soon overcome by a raging thirst, and so with a trembling hand he lifted the canteen to his lips. Empty! Scarcely a drop remained. His lips felt hot, dry, and feverish. He licked the rim of the bottle, hoping to at least wet his parched lips. He must find water. He must. Determined, he pressed forward. Toward evening, he came upon a small gully, where if Providence would smile upon him, he might find water. This was the evening of the second day since he broke his leg, and he was getting weaker and more feverish by the hour. Sure enough, a small stream lay before him. He painfully knelt, and then he laid down to where he could reach the life-giving fluid. However, he was too weak, and he passed out from the effort. When he regained consciousness, he had no idea how long he had lain there. His mouth was very dry, and so he eagerly scooped up the water and poured it into his mouth. Soon, however, this wasn't enough, and so he just lowered his chin into the creek and lapped like a dog till he had his fill. Now, racked with pain and shivering from the evening chill and the fever, he knew that he had to arise. He finally managed to gain his feet, but he was stiff and sore from laying so long on the rocky bank of the stream. He must press on. He must continue. He must survive. The thought of his family drove him forward, compelling every last ounce of his strength. As he came down a small slope, stepping carefully to avoid putting pressure on the injured leg, his strength began to fail him once more, and it seemed he could go no further. And so he fell to his knees. But he could not surrender, and so painfully he got back to his feet. He wasn't dead yet, and by the grace of the Almighty, he would make the Ohio country, or die trying. Although he was getting more delirious, and every step threatened to undo him, he continued pushing past the pain, just concentrating on making the next step, and the next one, and the next one, and the one after that. He paused a moment to wipe the sweat off his forehead. What would have been an easy trail a few days ago was now a torturous gauntlet of danger. Thankfully, there was no sign of enemies, man or beast. He couldn't have fought them off anyway. His life was now in the hand of the Almighty. And still he pressed on, senses alert. And then he heard it. It sounded like a rooster. He stopped to listen again.
Oh, thank you, God. Thank you. Thank you. Hello, the house. Hello.
Tucked away in a clearing was a sturdy and well-built cabin. Inside, a cheerful fire was blazing, and Dr. Thomas Hardy and his wife Emma sat talking to Isaac Potts, a friend, an experienced long hunter on the Kentucky frontier. They hastened outside and rushed to his aid, taking him by the arm and helping him up onto the porch. And then they guided him carefully into the warmth and safety of the cabin. They took off his hat and helped him remove his accoutrements. He was so weak from pain and the fever that he was grateful for the assistance. And they set him down carefully in the ladder-back chair, his head lolling about as he drifted in and out of his delirium. Unbeknownst to him, he had been guided to the frontier home of an experienced Revolutionary War surgeon, a man skilled in healing and well-versed in modern medical practices, as well as the remedies and potions of the Indian tribes of the area. Once again, Providence had blessed him and smiled upon his journey. Expertly, the doctor cut away the bindings of the crude splint and then carefully examined the injured leg. If the leg were to heal properly, it must be set, and it must be set soon. By his examination, the break was 2 to 3 days old, and by the man's fever, a mild infection had already set in. They helped him into the rope bed and assisted him into position on the homemade feather tick. A wooden spoon was placed between his teeth, and the doctor, his wife Emma, and the long hunter Isaac Potts got into position at the doctor's direction.
Okay, both of you, if you would, just hold him. You're going to have to hold him good. Grab hold of that leg right there. That's it. Just pull him real hard. Ready?
The pain was excruciating as the bone grated back into place and he passed out from it. Some hours later, he awakened, and they were quick to give him a drink. His fever was high as he fought the infection, and shudders and chills racked his body. For several days, they hovered over him like guardian angels, doing their utmost to help him fight off the infection, as the doctor carefully and continually watched for any sign of gangrene. And then, one evening, exactly 1 week later, as they were sitting in front of the fire, they were again visited by Isaac Potts. The conversation quickly turned to the as yet unnamed stranger who still lay in their bed. The doctor was pleased with the healing process and was convinced that the combination of bear grease and honey had kept the infection from becoming severe and was in high hopes for a full recovery in several more weeks. As they talked, his wife Emma worked on mending the tear in the man's breeches. All was quiet on the frontier, and the weather had been fine. It had been a long summer, and the crops were prosperous, and this year would provide a bountiful harvest for the long months ahead. Things were indeed looking up in this part of Kentucky. Settlers were moving in, and there had scarcely been a serious attack on the settlements for months. The stranger was getting stronger day by day, and recently had begun to tolerate solid food during his waking moments. Although they were grateful for the opportunity to help a soul in need, they would both be glad to have the use of their bed once again. A full 2 months passed as he convalesced in the good doctor's home, and with good food, rest, and a constant exercise of the now healed leg, he could move about freely and was beginning to take on some of the chores around the homestead. Now, every evening, after the work was done, they would come out on the front porch, enjoying the cool of the day, to sit and to talk and to whittle on various wooden items as needed for daily life. He was glad to be able to help these new friends, as he would never be able to repay their kindness and sacrifice on his behalf. He was always eager for news of the Ohio country, and Isaac Potts would bring them such news as he had gained in his travels. The highlight of every evening, though, was when the doctor's wife Emma would bring out a steaming kettle of coffee for them to enjoy. He had already posted a letter to his loved ones back home by the way of Boonesboro and the hand of Isaac Potts to allay their worries and fears at his delay. And as they sat there, enjoying the waning of another day, his thoughts invariably turned to his future, his own cabin, and the adventure that awaited him in the Ohio country.